right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to MMA Island. I'm Zach Harkness, and today I'm joined by the head coach of heavyweight star Jairzinho Rozenstruik, Michael Babb. Hello, and welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine, and let's just go right into the first question here. Many people were saying that this is too quick of a turnaround for Jairzinho after his fight, but he went out there and he looked as good as ever. Can you tell me about the attitude in the training camp and just the general preparations you guys made for this fight?
When he get cut, Francis cut him. It looks really bad, but they always leave you on the ground for longer than normal. And he was like, not that knockout that a lot of people thinking he was, and he was like he get like the doctor came to him and watch him and do everything what they had to do with him. And after 1 hour, he could go back, and he didn't have no injury. And after 2 weeks, we had also a checkup at the hospital, and everything was clear, everything was okay, and he was ready to go again. He didn't have headache, he didn't have no injury, and that makes sense that you can start it with training, and he was, the only thing what was hurting him was his ego. He said, listen, nobody cut me like that, and I was low, so I wanted the fight so bad, and that makes him a really bit sad, but also instead of that make him also really motivation to get on work again. And that is what he did. He started to train again. We went over to Suriname and started there with training, easy, running, those kind of stuff, and do his thing. And he was in it in like a week. He was already on his way to go.
Yeah, and I was going to ask about that because I can imagine that, with not a lot of time in between these fights, that he just wants to train and get back on it. But you mentioned something about his ego. Did that affect him for a lot of this training camp with him, him getting knocked out and all? And do you think it really, hampered his performance in training camp a bit?
What is with Jairzinho, and he could have put the ego thing over in his training, and he motivated his training. He was like, all right, I want to make it myself good. I want to do it. I want to go back training harder and get back to business. And that he did.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
It is what he did. And with only about 3 months in between UFC 249 and UFC 252, there wasn't much time to make adjustments. So with you being his coach, what would you say were the biggest adjustments Jairzinho made in his training camp in between these fights?
Jairzinho is the easy guy to train with. He's listening. And what we did, we get over the fights and a lot of other fights also. And we get over and over again and watch the fight, what happened, what we didn't do, what we have to do. And then we started again with training on another kind of way, and that works. You understand it?
Yeah, I do understand. Yeah. Did he train a bit differently for this fight, like making adjustments in the way that he trains leading up to the Ngannou fight and the JDS fight?
No. Yeah, you know what it is? We always train the same. We always train hard. But we had one problem before the JDS fight. I had to do my visa.
Oh.
And stuck in Holland for 6 weeks instead of for 1 week. It was a lot of problems to get me back to Miami, but we had a great team from AT&T also, some other guys who we trained with, and they helped him a lot, and I was motivated. I was talking with all those guys every day, what they had to do with him and how we had to train, those kind of things we did. And it works. And 2 weeks before the fight, I came in and started to put things, the small things together, and he was ready to go then.
So you said that you were stuck in Holland because of visa issues. So in a hypothetical situation, if they don't let you get to the US, does Jairzinho know who he would put in his corner instead of you? Like just as
Yeah,
an emergency replacement?
yeah, for sure. It's a hard one, but on the end, we will find something. We were like discussing that kind of things also,
Yeah.
uh, and what to do and how to do, and we did it well. We
Yeah.
did it well. You know, on the other hand, he needs it, but you know, you never know what's gonna happen. And he's a professional. He take the fight. He would make the fight also. He will fight also, even if he was on his own in the cage. He will fight. You know, he have a lot of experience, and that makes it also that Biggie can do what he had to do.
How glad were you that you could get into the country and that you got to be in his corner for that amazing finish and probably the biggest win of his career so far?
Yeah, I was really glad. You know, because for example, um, yeah, it could be worse than that because he came out of a loss. He came out with his ego thing. He had to train a little bit different because I was not there. And then on the other hand, not to be there in his corner, that would make it a little bit difficult. But still, you know what it is. We are one team, and I got a lot of other guys who can help him really well. And everyone is on one line, and it would be okay on the end. They
Yeah.
know exactly what they had to do with Biggie, and Biggie knows also what he had to do. I was every day, 2 times a day, 3 times a day. I was talking with him every training. He was recording, and I was looking at the training stuff and try to tell him to do what he had to do. Also with the patching things, also with the game plan. We were in the right in it.
Right. Now, he took his last training camp for this fight, and I think a couple more at American Top Team down in Florida. So when you guys are training there, I know that they have their own set of coaches and stuff, but while they're there, do you run his training camps with help of the ATT staff, or do they try to like take control of the camps?
No. Um, I always work together with them, and I have a fully conversation with them. I can do what I want to do. I'm his head trainer, and I'm talking also with a lot of trainers around him, and we make it together. But on the other end, we can do our work, what we want.
How would you say that he's improved so far just in his short time at ATT, with like you working with him and all these other coaches as well, because ATT is regarded as probably the best MMA gym in the world?
What would he say? Say it again.
I said, how do you feel like he's improved so far at his time at American Top Team? Because it's considered one of the best gyms in the world.
Yeah, you know what it is for us. Is it really? It's just like a family for us at the AT&T. They are great. They are really humble for us. They are really, yeah. They treat us really good, and yeah, we have a great time there. We have like, yeah, the best coaches, the best ground coaches you can get there, and they work really hard with Jairzinho, and that makes him getting better and better and better. And that is what I like about it, the AT&T.
Right. Now, you mentioned something interesting with the ground coaches. As we know, Jairzinho doesn't really have a lot of work to do on his striking because he's one of the most accomplished strikers in the heavyweight division. So how much does he work on his ground game, and how much would you say he's improved so far?
You know what it is with Jairzinho? A lot of people don't know that he's like really greedy. He's like really, yeah. He's like, this guy is like, if he can do something, he will work every day, every minute, every time. When he's in his bed, he's still trying to get what he has learned. And a lot of trainers also tell me he is so easy to coaching. He's so greedy. He's so much energy in him. He's just like he's getting everything really quick. He can take it in him, and that makes him also wonderful. That makes him also uh, work with him. That makes it sweet to work with Jairzinho. And a lot of trainers are like, yeah, this guy is really amazing.
Yeah, now I want to move into the next question. After a close first round, Jairzinho came out and KO'd JDS in the second round. So what did you tell him in the corner after the first, and how well does he take your corner advice in between rounds?
Yeah, he always take my corner in fights really, and really he listens also good. If you hear if you could speak Dutch, you you will recognize some fights of me with him when I yell something for him. For example, the fight against Alowski, he did exactly what I taught him to do, and he knocked him down with the left hook. And those kind of things. He hear everything what I say. He is just like a computer, and he can recognize me without if there is 100,000 people in the area, or is there me and him only, he will recognize this, and he takes all the advice what I give him. He takes that, and what I did in the first round, I told him also to put pressure on him, but still hold the control of GSD. And then after that I told him to put more pressure and to take more offense, and if he get the shot, then he has to go for it.
Yeah, and go for it he did. And one of the reasons that he won is because of his insane power that we've been learning about throughout his time in the UFC. So as someone who gets to experience that all close and personal, how hard does he really hit?
You know what it is? What I tell a lot of people is not only that he hits hard, he's also a professionist. He is also, his timing is really on time. When he hits you, he hits a spot. But on the other hand, he only have to clutch you and you move. It's not amazing how hard this guy kicks and how hard he knock people. Is not normal.
Yeah.
No, but it's natural what he have. That power what he have is really natural, but it's amazing. I cannot explain it to a lot of people. You have to face it.
Yeah, I don't want to do that anytime soon.
But really, it looks easy. You see also when he hit and when he hits in Dos Santos.
Oh, Dos Santos, yeah.
He didn't even put all his. He didn't even the whole fist didn't even touch him. It was only like one. I don't know exactly how
I saw that. It was like it just hit with his knuckles, not even like his whole fist.
And only his hands. He didn't even put his whole body in it.
Yeah, and that's insane.
And you can see what kind of damage he can get you with when he hits an overhang. Then you can see how on that one he puts his whole body in it, and then he can damage you really.
Yeah, then he tore Overeem's face off. But I think the most insane knockout that he ever had in the UFC for me was the fight with Alan Crowder, because I watched that
Yeah,
fight back and I'm like, how
yeah.
did he knock him out there? He was jabbing Alan Crowder while moving backwards and he falls to the floor, earning the second fastest finish in UFC heavyweight history. So was he surprised, and were you surprised at all that he finished the fight so quickly and with a punch that would never really finish a fight any other way?
Now I saw him do this several times. The first time when I saw him do it, he was just like, I think maybe, let me see, maybe 14 years ago or so. And I was like, he was fighting against a Brazilian guy also. It was like Suriname against Brasilia.
Mhm.
And I was like, eh? What? What hit the guy that he fell? And we were like, I was looking with my corner, the other colleague, and I was like, what's happening? I think the Brazilian guy is faking us. He came here to get money only. And I was like, how could the guy fall that quick? And after a while, we watched the video again, and then we know that he can hit hard, but then he didn't know he did how to use it, but he didn't imagine himself that he can hit that hard. And I started to training with him, started to learning with him, and start him to let him believe in that. And that makes it what he is now. And that was with the big club, not even with the MMA clubs.
Really?
That's
Wow.
that's it's amazing.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. And the way that Jairzinho finished JDS, he exploited a well-known weakness of his that could not have been figured out by accident, I assume. This was JDS's perpetuance to get damaged while getting backed up against the cage. Now, was this weakness of his something you discovered while studying tape, and was it something that Jairzinho knew going into this training camp?
Yeah, we know that JJ. We have to stock him because he's moving like a lightweight. And I told him also, if you got the middle of the cage, you can see where he's going, and you always have to use left and right to cut him because he cannot. You even want to go left, but you have to fake him which side you're just gonna go, and then you can get him. And he did that also because he fake him if he wants to give right, and then he cut him with the left, and after that he cut him with the right because he went another side, and then he go back, then he cleared him also with the right.
Yeah, and well, Jairzinho and JDS, they both train at American Top Team. So I imagine before this fight that they trained together at some point. Is this true?
No, they didn't. They didn't train together. They
Really?
never. They never trained together. People thought that, but it's not true.
Are they
Because
going to in the future?
yeah, I think so. I think so because Justino is a really humble guy. You know, he always wants to help people, and he's like, you know, he's maybe a beast in the ring, but behind out of the ring, out of the cage, he's just like a really humble guy, and he's always talking with those guys there. He's always wanted to help people. He's okay with that, and I think he will help JDS a lot to help him out.
I think so too, but I also think that JDS will also help him a little
Yeah,
bit as well. So, what would
yeah.
you say are the biggest things that Jairzinho can learn from JDS to improve his own game?
I think I don't know it yet because I didn't know what's the best things in GAGS is. But what I like from him is how we move in the ring, you know. And sometimes I think in some way, Jorginho, in some of those fights you can use that also. You don't have to. Sometimes the moving in the cage is also something that is special.
Yeah.
I one of those things what he can learn from in GDS.
And all right, and I want to move into the next question, and I want to go back to the beginning. Now, you and Jairzinho are at the top of the sport right now, but it wasn't always like that. So how did you discover him, and how fast of a learner was he in terms of training him from kickboxing to MMA?
How I used, yeah, you know what it is? And he was playing soccer, but he was always like a rebel everywhere. And he came, no. He was already in, we were like, a guy was asking me to come and watch his some fighters of him. And I went to the place, and it was in Suriname. And there were like a lot of street guys. They had nowhere to go. There was like, they had nothing. This was just like a ghetto place. And then I told the guy, okay, listen, I can help you. I would do it. I like to do that. And I started with him. And Jairzinho was between them. And he always was trying to get attention of me. But I didn't look at him because I know he was one of the guys who was big mouth, big guy, this thing. But what I really like about Jairzinho is training's motivation. He was not the most technical guy over there, but his motivation to train, that was really high. He, I used to sometimes he was like not listening in the gym. I send him out and say to him, Biggie, I don't want to see you over here, because he was like playing around. I said, listen, go out. And the next day he come back, and he was always on time. He was always there. He was training always hard. And then on that moment, I started to give him really attention. And I already saw the talent of him, but I want him to recognize that he had to really want to do what he really had to do. You know, that is what I had with Jairzinho. And what motivated me also, those guys had nothing. They didn't, when I was like, go running with them, they had no shoes to run. They were running on barefoot, they were running. And I went back to Holland, and I started to talk with some sponsors and get a lot of stuff for them. And because for me, it was like, when they work hard, I work hard for them also. And from that moment, I started to build up the gym. And Biggie is one of those guys who's now on the top from that beginning, from that gym, what I started with. And then I took them, and you know what it was? They were so trained. Those guys were training so hard, stay from the street, because that is what I want them to do. And I took them, for the first time, I took them to Aruba. They never went in an airplane. They never went out of Suriname. They never saw the sea. They never saw the beach. They never been in a hotel like great as that. And I took them with them. And from that start, went over to a lot of country with Biggie also.
Very nice. That's a very good story. And I'm wondering, because, you know, before he went into MMA, he's this super high regarded kickboxer, amazing record. So how was the transition in between coaching him from kickboxing and then turning him into an MMA fighter?
You know what it is with Biggie? Sometimes you recognize a real fighter. With everything what he do, he's a fighter. Even when he eats something, he fight with the food. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Is
do.
this guy is really a really born fighter, and that makes it also. You could make him everyone in a mixed martial arts. You could, if I taught him, Biggie, come, we go to box. I will get him also to the high class of
Mhm.
boxing. You know, that is the thing from Biggie, and that's why when he started with a friend rolling on the ground, and they recognized how strong he was on the ground. Then they told him, listen, I think you better can start also doing MMA. And when he told me also, Mike, I told him, you know, I think the best thing to get over to MMA, I think that will be nicer for you. And he was like, yes, okay, let's do it. And from that moment, we started to build up our records.
Yep. And yeah, that's a very good story. And if he wanted to go into boxing, man, he could be very good at that as well. And I want to
Yeah,
move into the next question. Jairzinho hasn't had a lot of time in the octagon so far, but he's had a long and extensive kickboxing career, as I've mentioned before. So, as someone who's trained side by side with him for many, many years, what skills does he have that he hasn't got to show in the octagon yet?
I think a lot of people will will um, they didn't see, yeah, what I tell you, they didn't see the real Jairzinho, not yet. I can tell you, he will get also on the ground, he will get like a beast, I can tell you. Because this guy is so strong, even on the ground, you will see how quick he went up. A lot of people are telling me, yeah, but his ground game is not this and is that, is that. I think you have to ask people in AT&T how quick he learns, how quick he make the ground thing is started to work, you know. And I hope one of those days, one of those times, he can show people what he can do on the ground also.
So, yeah. And
Don't interest in on the ground. That is the only thing what I tell them.
yeah, and when he gets a chance to use that, it'll be good. And I don't know that I think the next opponent in his crosshairs is probably going to be Derek Lewis, but I guess it also could be Curtis
I don't know.
Blades as well. So, do you know
I,
if like if he kind of wants to fight a wrestler and someone who will take him down to the ground so he can prove his ground ability?
you know what it is with Jairzinho? It doesn't matter who's gonna be facing. You know, I think for a lot of wrestlers also, uh, without how powerful he is, to hold him on the ground, that would be a big job for a lot of them. And don't interest him with his condition is so damn good. It's just like his condition is like a lightweight,
Hmm.
you know, and that makes it also impressive what he's doing. And that makes it also easier.
Yeah. So do you think that he because a lot of things with pure strikers when they take on grapplers is once they get taken down once, their striking output starts to drop because they kind of get afraid of the takedown. Do you have you been working with Jairzinho to make him not so afraid of the takedown and just keep his composure throughout the entire fight if he's fighting a wrestler?
Yeah, but listen, um, if you hear what JDS wanted the first time, what they wanted to do, they wanted also to go with him to the ground. And the way Jairzinho was fighting him, he didn't have the chance to take a shot to do it. You know what I mean? That makes it also that he getting comfortable in his way. He's not afraid to go to the ground. And if he's on the ground, he's also not afraid to be there. And that makes sense. It's the same what you see with what you saw with him with Alistair. Is okay, Alistair brings him to the ground, but on the end, what did he do on the ground with him?
Nothing.
He didn't damage him, he didn't do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you that it was not easy for Alistair to hold him on the ground also like that. He could not hold him for 5 rounds on the ground because after the third round, he didn't even get him to the ground anymore, you know? And if you can get until the last round, you can get him so powerful still, that makes sense that you cannot guess him out what Alistair thought he would do with him, you know? Because, you know, sometimes if you see that guys guess out, they even cannot hit you anymore. And that hard did he hit Alistair on the last second. That means how powerful he is, how good his condition is also, and how strong he is. And that makes sense for a lot of people that to go with him to the ground is not easy. It's easy maybe to get him sometimes on the ground, but it's not easy to hold him on the ground.
Yeah, and one of the things in the Alistair Overeem fight, and I will get to that in a minute, is how after he knocked out Overeem, that he decided to walk off instead of going for like follow-up ground and pound shots, which is a good move. It's something that you should do, but then it garnered a lot of criticism that the stoppage became early because he didn't hit him with follow-up shots. Do you know what were your thoughts about that, about him walking off, and do you think that the stoppage was early? Because I don't think so.
You know, I don't know. You know what it is. Jairzinho look him in his eyes, and if you see the video over, sometimes I get mad when at least I get mad, and if I see that people are argument that it was the stoppage was too early. With all the respect for Alistair, he was out. He was already, when you saw him get the first left uppercut, his arms getting down. That means if you saw the whole fight of Alistair, if Biggie was hitting him, his guard was like really high the whole time. It was even difficult for Jairzinho to hit him on his head. When he catch him with the left, his hands goes down. That means that he already was clipped on that point. And then when he hit him with the right hand, he was already out. And Jairzinho look him in his eyes, and he was like, with all the respect, if I hit him another hit, I could kill the guy on the ground.
Yeah.
I could miss him for life. And he has to give the credits to Jairzinho that he didn't do that. And instead of want a rematch, instead of complain that it was an early stoppage, you know, with all the respect for all the people who around, the most people who complain also, I think they never been in the age before. I think they have to look him like, give him more respect, and that makes more sense than tell people started to talk bullshit. It was an early stoppage. If you see the guy, where was his lip?
Off his
Where
face.
was his eye? I saw it in slow motion. You see how far he was with that. You know, with all respect, I didn't even want to go in um, discussion anymore about that fight because people can tell what they want to tell. He did it and he walk away out of respect. He walk away for him because if he hit him on that point, only one shot, maybe Alistair would not never fight again.
Yeah, no, that's exactly my my thought process going into it is like, do you really want him, Alistair, to sustain this much more damage than he already? Because we know how hard Jairzinho hits, and if
Yes.
those are unanswered shots on the ground, those could be like career altering. So that's the stance I've always took ever since it happened in December. But I want to move into the next question here, and it's also about the Overeem fight. And I want to know if Jairzinho was getting a bit frustrated in between rounds, and how would you rate his mindset in tough fights?
No, you know what it was with Jairzinho on that fight. You know what a lot of people forget. We took the fight on 5 week notice.
Very short notice.
No, yeah, very short notice. We went when we took the fight. We went over to Suriname. We stayed there for a week. We came back. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we had to rest a little bit. Then we went back to Suriname after a week. We came back. We had like three weeks. We went back to Harkness. There was nobody around for him to train with. That's why we went over to AT&T.
Mm-hmm.
We had like 2 weeks left to train and face a game plan for Alistair. You know, we don't complain because he's a really fighter. He came out of another fight that was like 29 seconds, but he don't complain about nothing. He went the fight with Alistair, and he was not frustrating, but for me, I told him you were like, every time you were like 1 second too late, that you could have hit him, you know, and that is also about if you train. We were like from the first, we were like maybe like from the 11 months that we were in the UFC, we were like 9 months in training camp. Can you imagine? We fight like 4 times that year, and we only thing what we did was in training camp. You know, not to complain, but I could feel it. I saw it, how he moves also. But he doesn't complain. He fights, and you know. And on the other hand, what we didn't like, what Alistair was telling him, that it's not his level. He didn't give him the respect, and with you know how hard he works, you have to give him respect. You
Most
know,
definitely. Yeah.
You know, to take the fight on short notice, you have to give him respect for that. You know, otherwise you didn't had no salary on that moment if he didn't step in the fight. You know, those kind of little things that can frustrate somebody, how he works, how he fights, and you disrespect another fighter, another opponent. That is not nice.
Right.
But
No.
on the end, we don't complain. We fight, and if it's gonna be, we told it also before. Biggie needs only 1 second. You only need one shot, and he get that shot and he put you down.
Yeah. And I think there's no better example of that than that fight. Now, I want to ask a question about you for you. So each coach brings their own unique style to coaching, and I want to know yours. So how would you describe your coaching philosophy, and what do you believe your biggest coaching strengths are?
I think the mindset is one of the really important thing which you have. sometimes people think they cannot do it, but what I think what one of my best thing is to get in your mind and make sure you can do it. For example, what we do. I don't know if trainers like to do it. Doesn't matter. I respect all those trainers. For mindset things, we don't have to drop weight, but we do like a training session. We call it like a sort of HIIT training. We wear like a sweatsuit, and we get like in let me see 100. I can say that only in agreed. We go like in 40 degrees. We're training. It's just in the sun.
Wow. So it's just, you're going to train them no matter what, like you want to get into their head. So would you say that like your coaching of someone's mental toughness would be your biggest strengths?
Yeah, that's one of the big, because when you went in the octagon, there's always a time when you, like a person say, whoa, I'm afraid. Oh, how's my condition? Oh my God, he wants to knock me down. You know, that means that if you can get the mindset really strong, you know, when they go into the ring, it's a lot of easier to win in it than normally. And I like technical things. Like for me, you have to they have to stance, like they have to fight. They can fight southpaw. They can fight orthodox. Their left hand is even strong like their right hand. The left foot is even strong like the right feet. You know, those kind of things. I work on that. I'm just like that. I want always to be really all around.
Right. Now, did you fight at all back in your day? And how did you find your way to start coaching?
You know what we had where I was at that gym, we were like the professionals. We had like in every weight class, you had one professional, and I was like in a really my weight class was like um, uh, let me see, 56 kilogram.
Mm-hmm.
That is like maybe 125 I think so. 125 pounds. Yeah, I think so, laps. And the A classes always have to teach when the master was not there. We always had to teach like from the beginning already. We always have to get for the class and do our things. And that makes, we grow up with that. All those fighters, all those guys who are like in that team, they are like big and trainers now also. Mm-hmm. And that is what I learned.
Yeah. Now, I want to move into the next question. Now, you and Jairzinho are both from Suriname, a country not very well represented athletically. So what does it mean to you to be coaching one of the top athletes, if not the top athlete from your nation right now? And does it give you more of a sense of pride?
Yeah, you know what it is? It makes me, this is like, it's just like a big role model. It gives me also a lot of energy to make something happen, to get somebody from the ground to the top. And I like that. And that gives you also a lot of energy. And B is a special person. He went over to a lot of things. You have to see it like that was a poor boy who has nothing before that, came in the big world, had some struggling, a lot of struggling, and it's just like a, a dream come true for him, you know. And now he's here, and the only thing what he wants to do is grab the title and get for it.
Bring it back to Suriname.
Yeah, bring him back to Suriname, because I can tell you he's just like a icon. He's just like a leader. He's just like he cannot imagine how popular he is in Suriname.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You know how much people, I told them every time, you know, every time when you step in the octagon, nobody can take it off from you. You did it. And you know how much people are watching you now from Suriname? The whole country is watching you now. Even the Suriname people who are in Holland, even the Caribbean people who are in Aruba, in Trinidad, in Jamaica, they all like him. You know, he's just like now the icon of the Caribbean. That makes him.
How does oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's okay.
How does that all feel? Like, I don't know, does that give him more a sense of pressure because, you know, he is that icon of Suriname right now? Does that give him any pressure? Does that just like make him feel proud as well?
It makes him more feel proud, but he's so easygoing. He's just like sometimes people. He's just like it's okay. He's not like thinking, oh, he's now the big man. He can do everything what he wants. He's like easygoing with that. You know, he's he really likes it also. But if it was not there, it would not be a problem for him also.
Right.
He's fighting for himself. He's fighting for his family. You have to look like that, and everything what is around him. He likes it. He loves it also. But if it was not there, it was also okay.
Right. Now, now I want to move into the next question. With Jairzinho most likely fighting before the end of the year, you'll probably have another training camp with him relatively soon. So, what are some of the things that you're looking for him to improve the most during this next upcoming training camp?
Oh, you know what we do when we train in a training camp? We always train. Uh, uh, we always train in front. We not really train especially for the opponent at that point. We're training farther than that, and that is our thing, you know. And where we stuck, we go farther with it, you know. If it was the ground, if it was like stretching, if it was like no matter what, we always train like going farther and farther to make him around, to make him comfortable, to make him stronger, to make him, the mindset is different, to make him, maybe if I want him to move more, maybe if I want him to kick more, no matter what, you know, we still going forwards, not only especially on the opponent on that point. We make your mentality stronger, and I think that works better than only to get in a special game plan.
Right. Now, I want to give you a hypothetical right now. So many people are calling for his next fight to be up against Derek Lewis. Now, from what you know about Derek Lewis, just off of what you know right now, what would you say are his biggest weaknesses? And do you think Jairzinho will be able to exploit them?
I can tell you one thing. It doesn't matter who Jairzinho is going to get. But I think understanding point, if he will crush them, you know, and you know, Biggie is more around like most of the fighters who are around that heavyweight. That makes it also that makes him also really dangerous. And they didn't see the real Biggie, not yet. I can tell you, it is because sometimes the fights are too quick, but sometimes, all right, the fight from Alistair was longer, but they didn't see what he can and what he's capable to.
Right. Now, I think unfortunately that's all the questions I have for today. I would like to thank you for joining me. Is there something
Yes,
you'd like to say to the people out there?
I say still, and watch Jairzinho, still and yeah, be behind him, and I think that will be the best thing to do, and he will be one of those times. He will be the champion of UFC. That is what his goals is, and I want to thank also all the fans who already behind him and all his family, and no matter what.
Again, I would like to thank Michael Babb for joining me today, and I would like to thank you, the viewer, for watching this interview. I've been Zach Harkness with MMA Island, and I will see you all in the next one.